Hey guys, Terrence here again from Neptune Systems with another episode of Let's Talk Reef. Of course, here in Morgan Hill, California. Another great episode planned for you guys. Going to do something, I think we're going to do this probably about every couple of months. So you guys can see the progression, ask some questions and whatnot. We're going to do a tank tour here at Neptune Systems. Talk about what some of the guys here that are big reef geeks are doing with their tanks. We've got one that's relatively new that's been set up. You've seen it before. That's Joe's tank. Then we also have Paul's tank, which has now been established for about 2 years here in the office, and it's looking amazing. So we'll talk to Paul about some stuff with that. And then Russ has his tank that I think has been up just a little bit over a year now, and it's really coming in nice, and he's got some great automation things that he's going to do. So it should be a really good show, because then after we do that and talk to them and find out some of the cool things that they're doing, we're going to come back here to the studio, see Paul, hopefully get on the iPad and see for ourselves some of the things that they're doing on those tanks, kind of how it works behind the scenes with the Apex. Glad to see you guys are filing in here into the show. We've got a good amount of people here. We got over 50 people in here already. Thank you so much for joining us. As you guys know, we do this show every other week on Tuesdays, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, every other week. The next show will be, today's what, the 8th, so it's going to be on the 22nd. I hope you join us again. Make sure that you like us on Facebook. Do all those things you're supposed to do so you get the notification, and join us live like Andy Glade does all the time and Trent Nugents does all the time. I see you guys out there. Derek, thanks for joining us. Ty, thanks for joining us. Hopefully you guys will share this around while you're sitting there on your computer or on your phone. Share it on some of the groups that you know. Let's get this user count up there for this show, because it's going to be a good one. If you guys are into aquariums, which I know that you are. And since you're into aquariums, there is another event that's coming up. It's the Aquatic Experience in New Jersey. Actually, it's New York, New Jersey, across the river. And we want you guys to come out and see us there, because we will have a booth shared with one of our dealers out there. And we're going to be doing something special for that particular event. We actually have a promo code. We're not going to tell you what we're going to do for you, but if you show up to our booth there at Aquatic Experience with promo code LTR, just tell it to anybody at the booth. I don't know, maybe you'll have a chance to get one of the Tridents. Maybe you'll be able to get a piece of swag. Maybe you'll be able to get a really sweet discount on some Apex gear. But show up there to the Aquatic Experience. It's out there in New Jersey. Look it up. It's coming up in a week or two. Gee, I don't have the overlay with me, but you can find out, I'm sure. Thanks again for guys. Scott Carl, I see you out there. We're going to wait for some more people to roll in here. If I've got any questions, I think I had a couple of questions from you guys out on the Facebook that we had. Joe Villavicencio, okay, I'll do it as good, and Cali Groovy, all you guys coming in from YouTube, appreciate it. Ken Pacheco, and I don't know, off camera, you guys got any questions from the Facebook post that you think I should answer?
I don't think any of this is filmed.
You don't think any of this is what?
I don't think any of it's live.
Oh, we're live because these guys are on here, so.
It's only on Facebook then.
No, I got Facebook and YouTube coming through here, guys. So I don't know what you're looking at, but these guys see us, every one of them. We've got about 75 people in here between the two. So happy Tuesday, Devin. Thank you for joining us, man. Devin's got a channel out there with his Reef Dudes channel. He does a live stream as well. I probably step on him a little bit with our Control Freak Wednesdays, but that's okay. And all right, I think we've got. Share it around, guys. Let's get that count up there. We're over 80 now. Any other questions? Fire them away here on the live stream while we're waiting for more people to get in here before I give you the walk around. I changed the YouTube title. Oh, well. Interesting. Okay. I did that on the restream thing. That's okay. All right, guys. I'll tell you what. Let's take a walk around. Let's do something interesting. Let's go see some aquariums. How about that? So we're going to kick this on. Let me get onto that camera. We're using the new kind of technology here. All right, there we are. Hopefully you can hear me. You can probably still hear me on the mix. Let me put you, I got to put that on the right. Now you're hearing me from the camera. Let us know if you're not, Cody just asked, are there going to be vendors with more 6-month supply? I know I saw some local fish stores with it. So we definitely have that coming. They also are coming to all the online stores as well. So you definitely can check those guys out. 6-month supplies are obviously in super high demand. We've got the cover right now because you're going through the area that you're not allowed to see, okay, before we get to the rest. So you just have to kind of imagine what kind of cool secrets would be seen in that space. Yeah, turn around and show right over there. That secret space right there. Go ahead. Sometimes we don't get the capability to see. We got the right side here yet? Oh, there, he's getting you turned around. This is Jenny. Jenny's responsible, okay, for making sure all stuff gets packaged up out the door and out to those dealers. Say hi, Jenny.
Hi.
She wasn't expecting me online right now.
I wasn't.
She'll probably kill me for that later. Okay. All right, look at this. We got somebody actually cleaning the area. On saw our live stream at Reef I had a little sit down with Joe. Yeah. This is Joe's innovative marine tank, right? And so what model is this again, Joe?
So this is the 100 EXT with the external overflow.
Okay.
Animal bean style overflow. I really like that because it's not quiet right now, but I can really dial that in and make it perfectly silent. Geo's Reef sump, of course, with the Trident on it, as always.
Yeah, didn't you have those toilet paper roller things on there before?
I knew you were going to bring that up. So
of course
yes,
I am.
Yes, I did have one of the toilet paper rollers. It worked really well. It was a little bit of a pain to swap the rolls in and out. And I was traveling a lot this summer, so it's kind of hard to ask your coworkers who don't want to deal with your fish tank toilet paper.
With your toilet paper from your fish tank.
Yeah, to get in there and change it out. So for now, I'm just running without any mechanical filtration. The tank's clean, so I'm not really worried about it.
Right. So
yeah.
before, this tank just had rock in it, I think the last time we showed off your tank.
Yeah. Yep.
Now you got, it's established, it's obviously fully cycled, you got some cool fish in here.
I mean, I'm slacking. It's ready to go. There's Coraline on the back wall. The 2 pieces of SPS that are in here look great. Polyps are out. We've only been in there for about a week now, but it's ready to go.
Yeah,
I'm going to start loading it up.
I think you need to start loading it up. Now, you are an SPS guy, right?
Yeah, that's right. So the affiliate in here and the Gold Torch is more just a little bit of a trial to see how, test the waters. To see
and also you were hoping that the clowns would probably host in one of those, right?
That was the original plan, but just like every other pair of clownfish I've had, they don't even look at it.
They don't like it, huh?
They don't like it at all.
And you have these Trocus snails in here that I'm pretty amazed about because the tank hasn't been up that long.
No.
And those things are happy sexually.
They are. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, they.
So I've seen at least 3 spawning events now. If you were to take the camera and get close, I could probably point out
there's so many babies.
100 baby snails across the tank.
And there's some of them are pretty big too. Some of them are over the size of a pencil eraser big already in a tank. So that amazes me how fast those little things grow.
And it was kind of strategic too. I haven't put any fish in there that would eat those snails just yet. So I'm hoping that I'll have a nice healthy snail population by the time I add any wrasses that might be a danger to them in general.
So a couple of other things in here. You do have the roll and die damsels that I suggested you to get. That I got a suggestion from Sanjay for.
I was worried.
And they were featured, by the way, also on Mr. Saltwater Tank's video recently, too, where he said, because most people don't like damselfish.
Yeah, right.
Because they can be total idiots in the tank.
Yep.
But these guys are only an idiot if something swims within, 6 inches of their spot, right?
Right. In my experience in this tank, it's been a less aggressive fish than the blue chromices.
Wow.
Green chromices.
Wow.
So I actually removed 2 of the chromices because they were being aggressive.
I love them. I have them in my tank, and it's hard to get excited about a damsel, but they just have a really great little swim, and they have their little holes. They come in and out.
I really like it. Right now, that guy, the Midas, and the Lobox Ross is probably my favorite.
Yeah, the Lubbock's is really nice over there too. All right, so you got the sump down here. You're running the macroalgae that's down there, which obviously I'm a big fan of that.
Yep.
And you've got this light up here. So this is cool. We run these at the trade shows now, and we ran it at MACNA. This is the Aquatic Life Hybrid dimmable, right?
That's correct, yep. So you can control, I believe there's 2 channels, the inner T5s and the outer T5s. That you can control 0 to 10 volt, which makes it super easy just to plug into an Apex and get that going. And then it's the hybrid fixture, so you can throw LEDs in the middle.
You can have it can be any one of the various brands. Because we like them because they're controllable,
Same thing, 0 to 10 volt, you just plug them right in, they're controllable instantly, there's no fussing with anything else.
Yeah, this is a really nice light fixture. This is like the second version of it that they've done. They really cleaned up the lines on it. I think it's, as far as the look that you get in the tank, it's hard to beat that look because you combat the flatness of a T5 with the sparkle of the, for instance, the Kessel, but you don't have an overblown Kessel.
Yeah.
That just gives you, epilepsy. So it's
Right.
it's one of the best combinations I think ever. I think actually Ryan from BRS is.
He loves it, right?
Yeah, he loves it. He's going to be using this, I think, over
It's
the
just,
BRS 360.
It's super easy to tune that, to tune the amount of shimmer that you want, and to tune the amount of white that you want out of it. And like you said, it's not flat once you have the LEDs.
Right, right. What about the light? I see there's some other light splashing on the wall. What's that back there?
All right, so I believe we had someone do a talk at our Magna show. That was Jeff, right? Jeff
Yes.
Stevenson. So he was showing off this cool idea where you can use just ambient lighting around or behind your tank
Right,
to give some kind of status indication.
right.
Now, I'm happy that he did that talk, but I'm a little bit jealous that I didn't get to show it off first because I had been working on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've been working on that for a while. I've done this.
So
on
you're
the
saying
past
he
2 tanks.
didn't know it, but it's like when
He
when
stole
two
my thunder.
people invent something at the
Yep.
same time and think one stole the other one?
Yep, so I won't say he stole it, but that's a great idea, Jeff, and I really like that idea.
Cool.
That's why I've done it. So I'll show it to you here real quick. So, for example, let's say I want to turn off all the flow in my tank. That usually means I'm diving into the sump for something, ripping Kato balls out, throwing in the trash,
Okay.
whatnot. So, if I turn on this maintenance virtual outlet that I have that shuts off my entire tank,
Right.
my lighting system knows to look for that. And after a little delay, usually
course.
3 or 4 seconds,
Yeah.
the sump light just under here
Nice.
lights up white. So I can do all this work under here. And now I didn't shut the system off, but
Right.
I would have done that had I shut the system
Right.
off. So now I can get under here, I can do a bunch of work, I can see everything, and then I can, when I shut that off, it just gets back to normal once the tank starts filling up. And it monitors the flow sensors, it monitors stuff like feed modes.
And it just changes the color in the different places?
Changes the color, the location,
It's got an Arduino or something on it? or-
Yeah, it's actually using a Raspberry Pi.
Raspberry Pi, and that connects into your breakout box, or?
Nope, it's actually just, it's on the same network as the Apex,
Okay.
so I just request the status of it on a polling interval
Oh.
every 10 seconds.
Okay.
That's why that little delay happened.
Okay.
But yeah, after it gets the new status, it checks the important things and changes the lights depending on it.
Wow, that's pretty geeky, man.
It's pretty geeky. It's really geeky.
And now we're gonna have like 100 people asking, "How can I do this?" kind
It's
of
not
thing.
easy.
And we do have a board over here. This is an old board. It's gonna be all redone over here. So if I've got people like Kyle out there laughing at us about that, it's just we haven't got to that part yet. So
My
don't
least favorite thing is cable management.
don't yell at us for the cable management yet. Now, the really cool thing that we get a lot of questions about from people
Yep.
is feeding of liquid foods
Sure.
using a dose, and this
Right.
is something that you're doing on this tank, right?
Yeah. So originally I wanted to put in a bunch of ventralis ampius into this tank. They're hard to keep. I'll just say that. So I knew that if I were going to do that, I would need to be able to feed the tank multiple times per day.
Right.
I'm not great about that.
And they don't like pellet food either.
No pellet food.
Right.
It's got to be really small food. So I figured like Reef Nutrition ROE is probably the best thing to feed.
I
so
like that
that's-
stuff. The fish go nuts for it.
Right, they love it. So that's actually on the other side of the wall in a mini fridge
Okay.
connected to a dose.
Okay.
And I have that
Let's
turned on.
just see that over here.
Yeah, we can go over and look at it.
So this is our lunchroom over here, or one of the lunchrooms. We've got multiple. And this is usually underneath the cabinet here, but he's
Yep.
got this little mini fridge. And then inside there, it's funny because it's not in the usual bottle. I don't know, why did you change the bottles?
It's just bigger. I had
Oh.
a hole drilled in the cap.
Ah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
So that's the stuff from Reef Nutrition, their ROE, right?
Yep, fish eggs.
And he just keeps that cold in there, and then you have a dose program, I guess, that
Yep.
that pulls that from that, right?
Yep.
And then feeds, and then has to back it out.
Yeah, because you don't want to leave a bunch of liquid food in the tubing that's not refrigerated. So after it's done feeding, it actually reverses the dose and drains everything back into the liquid food container.
Now, do you have that tube underwater so that you're filling it?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
So this is probably the one thing you shouldn't show off because I just kind of have it dangling right here
Uh-huh.
right now. But I want to have either Russ or Chad with their 3D printer 3D print me a clip that I can mount here so that it keeps the tube off the water line.
Okay.
Because I absolutely do not want it to back siphon salt water into my fridge.
But I mean, somebody could do that if you knew how much
Yeah.
water to pull back, and you didn't want it to like rot in there or something.
So
I guess
there's
because you could go back and forward, back and
no,
forward,
wait,
back
wait,
and
that's a
forward.
winter project for me because what
Okay.
I'd like to do is I'd like to be able to rinse this tube out after it's done feeding.
That's kind of what I'm talking
Right.
about.
So with a couple solenoids, I'm pretty sure it's possible.
All right. Well, that's a project for the
next
future.
episode, I think. Yeah, next
So
episode.
what's coming in the tank next?
Oh, that's a good question. I have no idea.
You don't know?
No, our local fish store I saw had some copper band butterflies that were eating frozen food. I had attempted those at one time.
What about
Those
coral?
sold.
Where's the coral coming from?
The coral? Oh man, so a coworker of mine, Chad, he has a 180-gallon tank in his house. When we went to Reef in Anaheim this past show, I bought a bunch of coral.
Okay.
This wasn't ready, and I wasn't ready for this to be ready, so it went into his tank.
Okay.
He's got about, I think, 35 pieces of random assorted SPS.
Oh, wow. You
Yeah.
bought that many in Anaheim?
But yeah, there's kind of split up here and there, so I'll take some full frags.
I know he raided my tank, so.
Yeah, he raided your tank. He's trying to raid everyone's tank. So when the time comes, I'm raiding his tank to fill this
Well,
one.
we all share stuff around. Vincent, who's
Yeah.
on camera right now, shared a lot of stuff with us as well.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks, Joe, for showing
Oh,
us off the tank.
look.
What else?
So, I don't know if you guys can see, but the status colors behind the tank just changed.
I'm a little colorblind, so no, I don't, but that's okay. I'll take
For
your
everyone
word
on
for it.
video, it's going between a blue and a red.
Oh, there it goes. Now I see the red.
So you can see the very vibrant red. What that means is that within the next hour or so, the tank's going to feed.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's going to start an auto feed within the next hour. If I walk by and decide to hit feed A and do it manually, it'll cancel that auto feed and it knows that I took it over instead. So if I come by and I see the lights are red, I know, hey, I can go grab some food and manually do it if I want to interact with the tank a little bit more.
Really neat.
Otherwise, I can just keep walking by and know that the auto feeder's gone.
You know, the people out there watching are going to say, this should be something that Neptune sells.
Yes.
it's a tough one to make all this come together, and it takes a lot of fine tuning.
Right.
But it is really cool, and I think it's pretty useful.
I mean, I already mentioned the ASM module and
Yeah.
got in trouble for that because
Yeah.
now we got a bunch of people asking about that. But,
I'll just say it took a Raspberry Pi and a lot of time.
okay.
A little bit of skills here. Too.
All right. Well, that's how Joe got his job here, too, is he hacked up the Alexa stuff to make that work with his
Yeah, I
tank.
tend to
And
do
so,
stuff like that in my free time.
all right, Joe, thanks a lot, man. We're going to move on now to Paul's tank.
Thank you.
All right?
Yep.
Keep it on the stream for me.
Sure. I keep cleaning my glass.
Wow.
Hey, what's up?
Awesome. Can we have light in this room?
You
Is
know
that
how
okay?
I feel about that. Okay.
A little bit of light we're going to need.
Yeah, no, it's
You
all
know.
right. It's all right.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to grab a chair if you don't mind, Paul.
No problem. No problem. Well, my chair's my office chair's not good enough.
No, that one's a little work, man.
Everyone's super comfortable in that. What are you talking about?
So this is Paul's tank. I don't know if you guys out there have been following along or not, but this thing has really, really come in, to its own, especially over the last 6 or 8 months. It's
Yeah.
really just started to take off. As many of you know, that's what happens with some of these SPS Reef tanks.
Right. I mean, I don't mean to, place it anywhere. It could be, maybe because I have 10 tridents on the tank.
You see,
But
you're wondering where the tridents go.
yeah, they're all on Paul's tank. But the biggest thing is stability, right? I make very little changes in this tank. I don't feed a lot, and I do very large water changes frequently. I don't subscribe to the automatic water change so much. I like the big water change. I've always done it. I've been keeping aquariums since about 2005 or so, and I usually take the water down to about here. About a 34% water change, and I fill it back up to here. I try to do that every week and a half to 2 weeks. That's my big service. Vincent's getting super close, so I thought I'd also do a feeding because
So we need to just rattle off like 15 Aquapora names that people will know out
I
of
don't
this.
know the names. Vincent will know them better than I do.
Okay,
but we have this really cool this pink millipora up here. I got from Robert over at Neptune Aquatics. It is just a beast. I think I fragged that thing I think I've cut that thing down like 60% between different over the last couple months. Got the Spainbow that I got from Vincent right there. I got this huge greed frog span, which I just hacked up significantly on. My second favorite coral in the tank is the Walt Disney. I also got from Vincent. It was a 1-inch frag about a year ago. And it's grown very nicely. And then my favorite coral in the tank is right there. It's my Ven, which I also got from Vincent. It's just a great coral. There are some underappreciated ones in here too, like the purple polyp Nasuda. This looks like white and dead, and you can't really see it too well on the camera. But it is a.
I love that coral.
It is so delicate.
I love that coral.
I got a digitata. What is it
I think I
called?
got that originally from Worldwide.
Bubblegum.
Bubblegum digitata a green in my tank, but I like it. This hidden Aphora that just got destroyed about 4 weeks ago.
Gotta keep them under control.
I think I took it down by almost 60%.
And you've got the ORA Spongiotes at the top.
Yep.
You've got the slime ball and Acropora.
The Spongiotes has done really cool stuff, right? So you can see that it's grown onto the overflow. It's kind of encircled the Anacropora and that green Acropora back there. It is.
And we got that new piece from Unique Corals that Joe gave us, that Australian with
Australian millie,
the magenta tips and the bright green.
You can't really
base.
see the green.
You can't right now.
Yeah, but
I mean, we could run filters on some of this, but then when we're on camera, it looks weird. So.
Right. And then you can see the big change in my tank I also did recently. You can see these like orange paleothoas here.
He had a beautiful zoo garden and he ripped it all out.
And I cleared it, and it was all the way going up this rock here. And
but look over there, right there in front of it right now. You'll see this fish, okay? It's like Paul likes these miniature fish.
Guess how many fish are in here, guys? So back up from the tank, Vince. How many fish do you think are in this tank, Terrence?
Well, most people would walk up and say there's about 4 or 5 fish in the tank.
There are 17 fish in this tank.
Yes.
And they are all very small. I have 4 barnacle blennies. I have 2 trimicanas right here, the striped red stripers.
They're literally 3/4 of an inch long by about 3/16 of an inch around.
I have and I got some food going here so we can see like the tank come alive. All these gobies will just come out of everywhere in a second.
It looks like they're tied to rubber bands.
And so the way that I feed in my tank, is I just put the food in and let it go. I've got 5 different Priolepis species in here, 2 Bondable Nocturnus. And 2 of the general yellow Priolepis. And then I got these new really cool ones from Biota. We call them the dinosaur trema because we don't know I forget what they're called, but they are feeding right now. Oh, here's one on the back overflow. You can see there. One of the Bondable Nocturnus will pop up there. He just popped up right for you guys. There's one of the Priolepis that just zoomed out. I really like it when people have to like find the fish in my aquarium. I think that's fun. So
they're definitely interesting. There's no doubt that when you feed, they come alive. They look like they're attached to rubber bands to the bottom of the aquarium.
Absolutely, yeah.
They pop up and go down.
So I mean, this we sell controllers here, Terrence. I didn't know if you knew about that. But
no, we're geeking out about fish.
Yeah, so
people appreciate that too.
I don't know. I love it. But interesting things that kind of I do with the Apex in here. First thing you need to understand is I'm very lazy.
Rich says the right kind of lazy.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the right. You can ask my wife about that. But generally, like I need to be reminded, and it's going to take me a long time to take care of anything, right? And so, a good example is how I manage my skimmer overflow and how I manage my ATK, right? Or my auto top off.
So the auto top off, start there. So the auto top off, these are the Red Seas. As you know, the Red Seas have a tiny little.
We'll open up down here.
Tiny little reservoir. I don't know what they were thinking when they built this tank.
So this reservoir, if I don't do anything it will last for about a day and a half. Maybe 2 days if that.
I remember talking to them in the beginning. They're like, "Oh, that should last a week for most aquarists." I'm
no.
I don't know.
So what I have decided to do is, I like the way it works. I like the way it's situated in the aquarium. I like where the float valve is and all that, So what I do is I actually have a low optical sensor in the tank, in that ATO reservoir, and then I have a high optical sensor in the tank. And and we're going to use a blue. And then what I do is I use my auto top off kit as a top off for my top off.
Okay.
Right? And then the way I have it set up is if my auto top off reservoir is empty, I don't have an optical sensor in there or anything like that in my reservoir because, again, I don't know. I just have never run the wire around. I have my auto top off be on a timer. And so as soon as it runs longer than 2 or 3 minutes, I get an alert letting me know that it's run for longer than 2 or 3 minutes. And I know that within the next 2 or 3 days, I actually need to fill up my ATO.
So it's an auto top off for the auto top off.
Exactly.
And right? I think a lot of people could take advantage of something like that in their aquariums with these kind of aquariums because of this issue. I know when we go to talk about to Russ's, he doesn't even use his reservoir in his.
I decided to do it like this just because anytime that my auto top off runs out, which means that it won't actually run out, it just means that this is full.
You got another day and a half.
You know, I got another day and a half or so, right? And
you know what you do need though?
What's that?
You need what Russ and Joe have, which is a light under here. So actually, when
Right.
we film, we can see what the heck is going on.
Sorry,
buddy.
I mean the only kind of filtration I have down here is a skimmer and a bunch of those feather dusters you gave me. There are probably 1 million feather dusters down here in the sludge in different pineapple sponges. And they do all the filtration for me. I use an eShop skimmer, and then I have an optical sensor on my Skimate cup there.
And
right?
that doesn't get mucked up?
It doesn't get mucked up, no. I have to clean it maybe every month, right?
Okay.
And as soon as it gets too mucked up, the skimmer turns off.
So if you weren't as lazy as you are, you would have drilled a hole in here and mounted this into the cup?
Exactly, but I am too lazy for that. So what I do is I actually just wipe out the top of my Skimate cup and clean off that.
Well, you're not as lazy as me because I don't even have a sensor in mine.
Yeah. So and when it gets full, this turns off, and then I get an alert that hey, my skimmer's full and my skimmer's off. Do something in the next couple days. Everything's fine unless I leave it off for like 5 or 6 days. Then I start to see a lot more algae on the glass and stuff like that.
Okay.
I mean, generally what I try to do is I don't try to get really technical, with my own personal apex. I know how to do it all, but I find that the more straightforward it is, that means I can tell one of you guys how to fix something real quick if I'm not around, there's not going to be any gotchas for me. Right, everything's just very simple and straightforward, easy to use. It works the way I want it to work.
Makes sense.
And that's kind of how it goes. So.
And I can assure you that Russ's is not like that.
No, you'll find out a little bit more about that one. And I'll show you guys a little bit about Joe's on feeding in a little bit. I'll show you a little bit about kind of how I do my auto top-off management. I'll probably talk maybe about Russ's lights or something.
We're going to have to get the computer working, or did you get the iPad?
I got it working.
Okay, good.
Okay, so, that's about it.
All right, well, we're going to move on over to Paul.
Hey,
over to,
Paul,
to...
do you have a can of something you want to show off?
Oh, yeah, I want to thank... how many of you guys remember this? I need to thank Robert at Neptune Aquatics. I brought him a bucket of coral. It is the bomb, okay? It is a powdered food, and you cannot get it anywhere anymore.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes, so the secret behind how this stuff was made died with the person who made it. He never told anyone how.
I did not know that story, Paul.
This is what Robert told me, at least.
Okay.
It could be.
Blame Robert.
I could be wrong. So the secret has.
Maybe he just wanted to do that so he'd get $500 of corals for a coffee can full of dried food.
Right. But you can't find it anymore. It's not made anymore.
Okay.
Frozen cyclopeas was my favorite.
Yes,
but,
I like that stuff.
The red bars.
Right.
Remember those red bars? But you can't get those anymore.
You can't get those either, huh?
No.
Nope.
No.
Oh, wow.
But you can get this can that only
Okay.
I have.
Okay.
And I think he has like.
Now I'm going to have to come in and sneak a scoop out.
Yeah, literally, if you even take a scoop though, that's like, for this tank,
I see.
Oh, yeah,
That's
it's
like-
a year's supply of
it's like
cyclopeas.
5 years supply of a scoop, so. Yeah.
All right, let's go see Russ's stuff.
That was a
All
good
right?
one. Thanks for pointing that out, Vincent.
All right, go make sure we're still online, Paul.
You are good.
Okay, good. All right, we're going to walk over to Russ's here. Hopefully Russ is around. I got to make sure I recognize this office. Wow. How's it going, Russ?
Hey, how you doing?
So all you guys, you know Russ by name. You don't know Russ for seeing him other than we're at a couple of the shows. So this is the big reveal for Russ as far as live streams are concerned. Are you excited, Russ? Wonderful. That's about what I expected. So Russ has an aquarium here. I'm going to roll over here so Vincent can go the other way. And Russ, stand up over here so we can talk about it together and he can get it on camera. Actually, why don't we move this so you can actually back in there as far as you can and get a wider shot. So this is what kind of aquarium, Russ?
So Waterbox 100.3.
Okay, so we did see this tank once before. I think we came in here when you weren't here or something and just kind of looked at it when it was getting going. It's a lot farther along now, for sure. How long's it been up?
Just over a year.
Looking really, really good. So, I mean, you don't have an aquarium at home?
Nope.
This is it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And before this, how long had it been that you were dry? Oh, you had another one over
Yeah.
here. That's right, huh?
Right.
Yeah,
I
you
used
had
to have
that one.
a smaller tank that I set up in the office 3 days before I officially started working for Neptune.
That's right, I forgot.
A few years back now.
And now
Mm-hmm.
you wanted to upgrade to this, and it's really coming along good. So, I mean, before we dig in down below, let's talk about what's going on up top, because I know there's a lot of guys out there drooling for the control panels and stuff. You're certainly a lot neater than the other two guys that I just visited. Hint to Paul with the plywood underneath the tank there. But Russ has got this. Russ is also the master of the 3D printing and the master of fabricating for all of our trade shows. So if you see anything at the trade shows that you look at and you go, that looks really cool, or how can I get that color pipe? It's because of Russ. Russ is the man in terms of this. So Russ, what modules are you running on the tank here?
Full Apex, 2 FMMs, the ASM, and the LSM at the moment, as well as a core.
And an RFM.
And an RFM.
and then-
Forgot the RFM.
Yeah.
We can't talk about the RFM.
T-shirt to anyone that can guess the RFM, what the RFM is.
And he's got the cool tablet over here, which is actually his previous iPad.
That's an old iPad, works fine for this purpose.
Repurposed it for that, and you got a spot for another module up there, I guess.
Yep.
And you how'd you do that? You CNC'd that, or you routed that? Panel?
So this the backboard is actually 1/2 inch thick solid PVC.
Okay. And
picked
where
it
can
up.
people get that?
Any good plastic shop.
Okay.
There's a favorite one down where I got this down in Southern California. A bunch of them up here. But the key is it's easy to work with. It cuts, routes, paints beautifully.
The regular router bit. Is there any special kind of router bit you need
Not
for it?
really.
No.
Any woodworking type tools will work fine with this. I cut this on my table saw, routed it with my regular router.
And it paints up good too.
And yep, just sanded to get some good tooth and painted it. And
Okay. And you obviously you used your templates.
yes, oh yeah.
Plug for the templates
Mhm.
once again. Definitely use those again. Now the latest addition to your tank is this lighting.
Mhm.
When they must be thinking that we're merging with Aquatic Life or something out there, because we keep talking about the Aquatic Life fixtures. But before the Aquatic Life fixture, you had what on here?
So initially this tank was set up with 4 Aqua Illumination Prime HDs.
Okay.
And I used the Aqua Illumination right angle mounting brackets, but I assembled them differently, and they are actually mounted to the back of my backboard.
Okay.
One of the benefits of having a super sturdy, strong backboard like this is it can handle this kind of work and thing. So
they're cantilevered way out there.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and what that did is, the primes were relatively unobtrusive looking, and I mean you could clearly see the backboard and all that kind
Correct.
of stuff. I had to change tracks a little bit to test out this Aquatic Life. What I end up doing is keeping the 4 mounting arms, because they're not easy to take out.
Right.
I have to move the whole tank to remove those arms
Right.
fully. So I decided, hey, let's work with what's there.
Okay.
So I designed and 3D printed these cross braces here.
Trusses that go underneath.
Found the suitable mounting hardware and just modified it.
That is awesome, man.
And I took out one of the primes.
So now you have 3 primes, and you have 4 3-foot T5s on here. Looks like 2 kind of a white blend, and then 2 of the what kind?
I currently have 2 Geissman Super Purples and 2. It's their full spectrum.
Okay.
At the moment. The initial bulbs I had were way too blue for my tastes. And I wanted to get a little more balance. This is actually, I just put these bulbs in. It's very bright right now because the bulbs need to burn in before
Right.
I start dimming them.
If you have, that's a good point that
Yes.
he's making, is that if you do buy one of these fixtures and you do hook it up to your Apex through the 0 to 10, which we're going to show you with Paul a little bit later how that kind of works, you definitely have to run them for, 30 hours or something like that?
They recommend 50 hours.
50 hours. Okay, so 50 hours at full, otherwise you'll shorten the lifespan of the bulbs. So that's important. But I'll tell you what, 100% compared to 4 primes on this by themselves, this tank looks stellar right now.
Incredible.
And the corals are growing.
Less shadowing, more places I can put corals now.
Yeah.
So far, I'm pretty pleased.
Yeah, I love these lights. It's the right mixture of stuff, and I think the key thing is getting that, edge to edge lighting, in any way you can get it. If you can find a fixture that gives edge to edge lighting, rather than using lights with a point, the point source or puck source lighting, you're going to be happier as a customer. Or you're going to have to do like BRS did and put 10 XR15s across, a 180 in the front of their shop there in order to get that same kind of coverage that you get with a fixture like this. Okay, let's look underneath. Let's hear what's going on underneath, man. Oh, check out this camouflage while he's pulling that open. Check out the camouflaged waves over here. So these things obviously work even if...
I am conducting endurance testing.
Yeah, even if you're supposed to clean them a little bit, Russ proves that you don't have to. So, all right, so this is the standard water box sump, Russ. Oh, look at this. Did you just see that? So he waved his magic hand underneath there, and the lights came on into the sump. So
yes, my in-sump lighting, I went with the motion sensing one instead of a switch operated, because sometimes I'm in with the doors open and not the lights on, and it makes it so easy.
Very cool.
I can go dimmer too, or off.
Oh, look at that. That's not hooked up to the Apex. It's just a regular...
Here's my favorite trick.
Okay. All right. Okay, so now we got lighting under here, so this is good because we were having a problem in Paul's tank. Mm-hmm. And you're running a Nios skimmer there, I see.
Yeah, it's being a little finicky right now.
But you got a different lid on there.
Yeah.
So tell us about the lid.
So I wanted to have a full cup sensor, especially since my experience has been the skimmer's a little finicky.
Okay.
All right. So it's pretty small. So there's not really room for me to mount a float switch or anything like that. So I went ahead and designed and 3D printed a new full cap. I have painted it to match my backboard and my ATO reservoir over here. And this is the part I really love it's tethered. There you go.
Look at that. So you need to clean it.
It's magnetic.
It's magnetic and drops in there, and if you need to clean it, it just comes right out.
So
it's such a simple thing. Even if you don't do a magnetic one, the idea of making some sort, especially with all the 3D printing you can do nowadays, making another thing to hold the sensor, and that thing is mounted in there, it just saves you so much. Just be able to come up, pop it out, wipe it off real quick, and pop it back down.
Yeah, just like all I have to do is if it's gotten higher, all I have to do is literally go like that in most cases.
Awesome. So neat. So I see you've got also an algae scrubber on here. Mm-hmm. That's working pretty good for you?
Oh, yeah. I'm really liking that.
Okay, so that's from Clearwater. They make all sizes of these algae skimmers, so that's really neat. And you got that hooked up to a manifold on your core?
No, it's not. It's actually being powered by a Seashea 1.5.
There we go.
Great pump. It actually requires very little water to keep flowing through it.
That's a great pump. The 1.5 is an awesome
besides,
pump.
I had the core and everything plumbed before I got the turf scrubber.
Ah, okay.
So I could have done that. I probably would have, but this was an add-on.
Okay. So now one of the things also here that a lot of people talk about is they have a problem with flow sensors is that obviously once you start to hook everything up, you can get quite big with all the fittings and the adapters and whatnot. I see you're running here silicone tube. And you've got that hooked up to a barb that's then hooked up into the union. Tell us what you did there that's different in order to shorten that up.
Okay, so I don't have a whole lot of height here to work with. And I also need to be able to go from here to here and I didn't want to use a lot of 290s or anything like that. So what I did is I 3D printed this reducing thing here that you may not be able to see very well. All right. And that's specifically the right length to keep my flow sensor.
So it's a reduction pipe, basically?
Right. So instead of just using reducing in a full step from 1 1/4 inch to the 1 inch.
Right.
All right. It's actually fully tapered inside.
Oh, nice.
So less turbulence. Yeah. It's quiet. And it's also the right length to keep my 1 inch flow sensor high enough.
Right.
Okay.
Out of the water.
And then in order to keep this end of the tubing as low as possible, instead of using a multiple store-bought plumbing adapters, I just 3D printed a little one, and that's cemented in place. You're the 3D
master, man.
So that's it. Once again, instead of a hard transition,
right,
from 1 inch to the 3/4 here, it's actually tapered inside.
Very
It's
smooth.
And then the once again, to keep the avoid the sharp angles, as you can see, that heavy wall silicone tubing actually loops down and around.
Yeah, I like that
nice,
stuff.
nice and smooth.
I think too many people, go for the aesthetics of pipe over the practicality and flow and everything else of tubing. So I know a lot of people poo-poo tubing, but I like using tubing. It's definitely, in a lot of cases, the way to go.
Yeah, if it gets dirty, I mean, the milky white, you can see if
You can
it's
see,
getting
you
dirty.
need to clean it out.
I can use a string thing and pull something through to clean it. I can do almost anything I want to that high-grade silicone, treat it with bleach, soak in bleach, whatever. It's going to be fine.
And of course, you've got Trident over there with your cool little flask for the waste. That's kind of neat. And what else? Anything else that you want to tell everybody about that you did that's kind of cool? I see you put a ledge on the front of this so the water did fall.
Oh, yes. So the water box stand, very sturdy, and pretty happy with it. But one thing is that if there was any leaks inside, it would pour right out. So I went ahead, this is just plastic molding from Home Depot. I cut the fit, spray painted it black, and then used black silicone to actually glue it in place.
So that's a really good
It's not
tip.
thick, it won't hold a lot, but it'll keep small spills or leaks or whatever from getting down on the carpet. This
cool.
carpet has been christened, but I try and avoid that.
Yes. All right. Well, that's pretty cool, Russ. So I think we're going to take a look at some of your lighting programming and maybe a couple other things that you're doing. Paul's going to dig into, I think, your setup from over there back in the studio. But I appreciate you giving us look at this. If any of you guys have questions out there for Russ or for Joe or Paul on their tanks, livestock or otherwise, give them a ring. On the comments section.
Did you get the goofiest fish in the world back there?
You're talking about the
little hawkfish right
yeah,
there.
the hawkfish with the googly eyes. Those are great. But yeah, your corals are doing great too, man. It's really, I think this tank is really taken off since you changed that light, to be honest with you.
Yes, I am definitely seeing increased growth.
The wrasse is
in
really
just
cool
the
too.
short time I've had the
Leopard
aquatic
wrasse.
life up.
Definitely got you got it going on now, Russ. Can't wait to see how this thing progresses, and I'm sure all of the people out there on Let's Talk Reef appreciate it too. Well, you're going to let Vincent keep looking at your tank there. I'm going to go back to the studio and see what's going on. Thanks, Russ.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it, man, and we'll keep coming back. Now we've got audio.
Oh, test.
Yes,
Yeah, there
now we
go.
got audio.
You're redlining a little.
Okay, we're fine.
Clipping.
We're fine.
As they call it, is it clipping? Is that the word?
Yes, clipping.
Okay. Cool.
So welcome back to the studio, guys. We got Paul here. We didn't do his intro. That's
it's all
okay.
right,
We'll
it's
live
all
without
right.
the intro for now. And did some great tours of these three cool tanks.
Yeah. No, it was cool to watch you going over Russ's tank. It's just that tank has really come along. I think you and I were both kind of like, for a while, kind of wondering.
It was the lights.
It was the lights. Yeah.
Absolutely, 100% was the lights. I mean,
I think it was too much. It wasn't the right spectrum. I'm not sure.
I don't know exactly what it is, but I think those primes are perfect lights for a small little nano tank, one that you're going to keep maybe some, LPS and
Yeah.
and zoos and stuff like that.
The 4 over it was good coverage. You
Right.
know, I just think the spectrum wasn't tuned in. You know, something.
It was something, but as soon as he stuck that other one on there,
I know.
right
He
away.
he was a little resistant.
Oh, he
you
was.
Know.
Yeah, he
I
was.
know, but it was a good call.
As I told him, I said we've got we have to test it so that we can give it Apex ready, which
Yeah.
it is, and I said I can get one in here, I can get one on your tank for you, and they'll just let you have it, Russ. And he's like, I'm like, dude, I'm getting it. You're gonna put it on the tank. So,
Right.
So we did. All right. So now we want to see kind of some of the things that we went there. First, we went to Joe's tank, and Joe showed us
the automatic feeding.
automatic feeding
You wanna
on his
start with that
tank.
one?
Yeah, let's start with that and see
Okay.
how that works.
Cool. So Joe does automatic feeding, and a shameless plug, I do have a YouTube video out there that'll take you painstakingly through every step of the process. I'm going to give you like
Painstakingly, yeah,
it's
pretty involved.
You know, I mean, I get down to the point of like how many milliliters of food are typically in
Right.
an inch of tubing. You know, so you know how long to run things. But you know, I'm going to give you the 1,000-yard up kind
Okay.
of view of it today.
All right.
You know, so anyways, let me jump over to this tank, and you can switch over and put the iPad on.
Okay, let's see if this is going to work here.
I think I got it up.
Okay.
I think it's up. You might have
This should be the Tech Corner demo, and this should be that.
It's all iPad, and then we gotta get
have
our-
to plus this right there.
There we go.
Look at
Okay,
that.
so here's Joe's tank, and to kind of just find our way around, I'm going to go into System View. Okay, System View you guys may not be familiar with, right? But System View kind of gives you a full kind of idea of what the tank is. It's another way to see your dashboard. You won't see your measurements and things like that, but you'll see the way things kind of come together, where all the programming is. It's easier for people like myself.
It's a
people
geek
like,
tool. There's no
people
doubt.
like Russ.
It's a geek tool.
Yeah, for sure, right? But when you don't know somebody's system, like I don't know Joe's system, right? So I can just come over real quick and find out real quickly where I need to go. And where we need to go is this one that says kitchen dose.
Okay.
And so kitchen dose, we can see that we have liquid food. All right. So let's start there. Let's take a look at liquid food. Okay. And so if we look at liquid food, we're going to look at the programming on that real quick. I'm going to kind of walk you through what's going on there.
Okay.
Okay. So first off, he has a fallback state of empty tubing. Right, and that's if for any reason the dose is, ever becomes disconnected but has power. It doesn't do anything crazy except run backwards.
Okay.
Right, so he's not wasting food. He's not putting food out there.
It flushes the line back to the bottle
Exactly.
and just keeps doing that.
Yes.
Okay.
Then the next state, and then I'll show you what empty tubing is in a second.
Right.
Okay. Then what it does is it goes to set empty tubing. So he says, okay, anytime it's in programming mode, the first thing that I want to do is start in what I would call a null state, right?
Okay.
A state in which the line is completely empty. So it always starts with this concept of set empty tubing. Okay?
Right. So you're in a state that you know.
Yes,
You start
exactly.
from a place that you know that you're at.
Right. And then finally, you have if output auto feeder equals on, then dose 2 milliliter.
Okay.
So what that is, and Joe talked about it a little bit, he knows he can hit feed A, he knows that it can run at a schedule, right? He has all these sort of different things. So what that auto feeder is that's where he's nested in the time, and that's where he's nested in the manual control.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So these are the empty tubing. What is that? Is that a profile?
That's a profile,
Okay.
which I'll show you that in a second.
We'll talk about that in a sec.
Yeah.
We're really in geek world here, but
Yeah,
that's
I
okay.
mean,
Stick with us. Look, that's what we wanted to do today, was go into geek world with these guys, so that's where we're going to be.
Yeah.
So bear with us if you don't get these terms yet. And then the output auto feeder is a virtual outlet then.
Yes, so
Okay.
output auto feeder is a virtual outlet, which I'll show you guys in a second. And then what happens is when auto feeder turns on this virtual outlet, okay, it then runs the dose profile.
Okay.
Okay, and essentially that's how the dose runs, right? So now what we have to do is find out, okay, what are the different parts? And I think it's best to start off with the profiles, okay? So to do that...
So dose 2 ml is a profile also.
Yep, and empty tubing is a profile.
Right.
So we're going to go over here. I'm going to click here on the folder button. I
So-
don't know if you guys saw.
Tell me if I got this
Yes.
right, because the way I've kind of thought of the profiles and the outlets is the profiles are like how to do something, and the outlets are what to do and kind of when or.
Terrence, it's like you've been listening to me all these years. I mean, don't.
Hey.
Don't.
Did I get that from you?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. So
You're a good teacher, man.
The profile is always the how, and the outlet is always the who, what, where, when, who, what,
Okay.
where, what. You know, so let's first look at this profile. So you can see here it's called.
So you'll
empty
never
tubing.
tell a profile. The profile will never say, "Do this at this time."
The profile will never be initiated just as a profile. Just if you make a profile, and let's say you make a profile for your lighting. Let's say you make a profile for a dose. It's never going to actually run that profile until you tell it when to do that.
Right.
Okay, so you can see empty tubing there. It's a profile type dose. We're going to select it, and you can see that we can make the type, and we can change that to anything we want.
Okay.
And the numbers here don't really matter all that much. All he wants to do is make sure the tube is empty, right? And so what he does is he runs it, at almost the fastest pace possible, okay, at 125 milliliters. He runs it in reverse. Okay, and then he runs it takes 45 milliliters out. His line probably can have 30 milliliters in it or so, but he runs a little bit more just to make sure that it's completely empty. And then that dose interval and dose count, those really don't matter. They just need to be big numbers in this situation.
Okay, so those don't apply. What really applies is the milliliters, and you need to be able to have a number for milliliters that's going to be able to evacuate the line.
Yes. So I mean, they do matter to a certain extent. Like if I change this to 1, let's say, and then I try to update it, the Apex is going to say, hey, that's not enough time to do that. Right? So you just need to make that number really big. And like I said, my YouTube video will go over all the details on this a little bit, so on and so forth. I shouldn't have probably updated it, but that's okay. Joe, might want to check that out later. And then the dosing 2 milliliters, right? So that he runs at a very slow pace. You can see that running at 25 milliliters. You get more precision the slower that you run.
Okay.
Right? And not to a great deal, but a little bit. And then he runs it forward for 39 milliliters because he's calculated, right, that 39 milliliters will put roughly 2 milliliters of water in his 2 milliliters of food in his tank.
Okay,
so that means roughly there's 37.
All right, so you start out with an empty tube, okay, and he basically has 37 milliliters in the tube.
Yes, to get there.
To get there,
right.
And then 2 more milliliters, that makes 39.
And again, it doesn't matter what the time is. What is important is how many times it does that. If you had that 5 times, what would happen is dose it again.
Right.
9,000 seconds later, it would do it again, do it again. So you don't want that.
We only want one instance.
Exactly. So, and then finally what we need to go to is the virtual outlet. Okay. Oh, what a nerd.
Yeah, that's
Whoa, Joe. I didn't look at that yet. So I didn't know what I was about to show you guys. But anyways.
All of this knowledge, just so you know, is not required to run a regular Apex. Okay, we are way off in the weeds here as far as geeky people are concerned.
He's a nerd.
However, I will say, being the marketing guy that I am, having this available to you is something that sometimes, if somebody says something is super simple, it doesn't always mean that it can also be super powerful.
Right.
So the real secret to what we've done with the Apex is all the basic stuff is super simple, but if you want to go and get incredibly geeky with it, you can. And that's what Joe's done here.
And that's kind of where we all sit, in terms of even your tank, right? You do some pretty geeky things on your tank too, Anyhow, let's go take a look at that auto feeder outlet. Okay, and so he's got, like I said, a bunch of different things going on here. Essentially what he's having is that anytime this auto feeder outlet turns on, you have an off statement, which means it'll be on for 3 minutes, okay? And it'll be off, but then he kind of keeps it off all the time, right? And he keeps it off all the time by having all of these different feed cycles, okay? And then he mentioned that he can have a manual feeding, right? And he has that manual feeding by essentially by essentially, running one of his
I hope somebody gets this because I tell you what, right now, I don't get it. So Joe's going to have to give me a tutorial on this.
Basically, he has this food limit outlet here, and that food limit outlet I'm not going to go look at right now, but that's probably a time requirement, which basically keeps it always off. Then he has these other manual feedings that he does, which also makes sure it stays off. And then he has this V feed in there, which is probably a legacy thing, right? I don't think he uses that anymore, and it doesn't have any effect as it is. He's probably got it in a manual situation. But really, it's the oscillation statement there that does the most work.
Okay.
So we could get a little bit deeper in there, but I think essentially you can put a time in there. And then you can say, I want to run a manual feeding and say a feed cycle as well.
All right, we've put everybody to sleep on this one.
Okay.
So I think that the takeaway here is there are some pretty incredible things that you can do that aren't straightforward things that most people will do, but the Apex gives you the capability to do it. And the plug back to, and Russ will be happy, the community forum that we have,
Yes.
where you can interact with Russ and other geeks like Joe and whatnot, and say, hey, I saw, this feeding thing on Let's Talk Reef. Can you take me through exactly why you did this, and this? And you can go back and forth and learn there.
And we'll get on there, and all of our guys will answer the questions.
Yes.
Like I said, I spell this out for you guys in every single detail in that YouTube video. Terrence will probably put it in the comments for us.
All right, we're losing viewers, so let's go.
All right.
Let's go back to something everybody can understand, which I think is dimmable lighting. Can we go to that?
Yeah, sure.
So Russ and Joe both are running that aquatic life fixture with a dimmable T5, and in addition to that, you want me to come off of that while you?
No, it's fine. I'm
Okay.
almost there.
So in addition to that, Joe is running the Kessel lights, and Russ is running the AI Prime HD lights, which have the IOTA connection through the network. So there's a couple of things there that are a little bit different between the two.
Sorry, I'm almost there.
And Joe's like, poor Paul, he didn't know about the 6 virtual outlets.
Yeah. I was like, okay, then you have a virtual outlet that times things. He's like, yeah. I was like, cool, I can do that, right? Anyhow, all right, so let's go to system view again.
Rafiki out there says Joe doesn't win a Trident for his feeder setup.
No, it's actually a great setup. So here's Russ's system view. Of all the different things.
Okay, don't scare me anymore.
So I'll just take a look first at his primes. So the first thing I want to show you guys is, we can communicate with certain lights over Wi-Fi. All right, and these are lights that have received IOTA distinction.
So they used our API.
Yes.
So from the AI to basically implement the capability for us to connect to their lights.
And it's very easy to do that. What do you think you do to set up an IOTA light, Terrence?
I turn it on, connect it to my home network, and then afterward I go into my Apex and there'll be a task that says
so there's a task
connect IOTA.
that you say connect IOTA, you select it, and you walk through it. The only caveat on IOTA is it only certain routers support it. Okay. And so you can go to, if you're looking like, hey, I definitely want to run IOTA, I definitely want to run AIs, and I want to do that, you can look at the router list and make sure you get one of those routers. And don't get one of the no routers.
I will have to have, there is a little bit of a disclaimer here because AI just released some new lights, and their new lights do not have Wi-Fi on them any longer, as far as I know, and they're Bluetooth only, which means they're not IOTA supported. At least as of now. I mean, maybe there's a bridge to Wi-Fi at some point in the future, and maybe it'll work. I don't know. But as of right now, if you buy the newer AI lights, they are not Apex ready or IOTA.
Yes.
So little disclaimer there.
Anyhow, the programming on that is fairly, actually I was looking at it, it's for Russ, it's incredibly straightforward. So he runs a schedule here. You can see that, we kind of say that it's mostly blue.
So this is on the primes, right?
Yes. And again, you can see you have basically 4 dots. Right, and I imagine he has used one of the AI kind of programs, or he, in terms of presets, which is called a scheme. Okay, and you can click a scheme by clicking this download button up in the top right-hand corner, and then you can click on Discover, and you can discover other AI Prime schemes, in terms of the AB plus modes and stuff like that. You can compare other variable lights. So if you want to see if his other lights are doing something else, you can do that.
So you can kind of see the intensity of your other lights against the intensity of this.
And you can see here he has the sorry about that, Russ. He
must have his T5s manual on right now.
Right. Exactly,
because
he's burning
40%
the lights in.
He's burning
so
them
I think that's the view that he likes, but he's burning the new bulbs that he just got this week or something like that. And then you can see the different spectrums that you can run, and the IOTA even supports the overdrive feature that AI has and things like that. And you can see that in terms of how much power is available. 100%. Russ is using 80% of the power right there. But
and once you program one of these, you can copy it to the others pretty easily, right?
Right. And you can see there if I change up the white, right? You can go put the white up. That's when it would be using all 100% of the power. So I'm not going to make any changes on that, obviously. And then he has his His dimmable T5s are under the variable outputs because he's a full apex on there, so it has the built-in variable voltage outputs. There are two.
So for people that don't know, in these Aquatic Life fixtures, they have ballasts. There's special ballasts that have a 0 to 10 input for you to do this dimming on. And they have a connector that just plugs right into the apex. It comes with it, I believe, the cable, and you can just plug it right in. Or maybe they have it available separately. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
But it's real simple to set up. And then you go in and configure it the way you're about to show.
Right. And it's, like I said, like you were just saying, Terrence, it's very easy to set up. If my fat fingers can select the
Somebody,
outlet.
Stephen Howie said, do they control any power heads with the Apex? I think he's talking about AIs. Maybe they're talking about the little puck thing. No, that's also Bluetooth only.
So the power heads that are controllable, obviously, are the waves. What is also controllable is the Tunza pumps. You can control those between 30% and 100%, but their pumps don't go much below 30.
Yes.
You can control Vortex with the WXM module.
Correct.
And then there's some other ones out there, but those are the major ones.
Those are the main ones.
And then, again, Russ is just keeping this very simple. His lights turn, so the AIs don't really turn on much below 4, or not the AIs, the Aquatic Lifes don't turn on much below 4%. And he puts it up to 50% by 8 a.m. And then by the time he leaves the office at 7:30 usually, guy works, man. The lights start going down. So that's his roughly day, and he has, I think, the same schedule set for both his inner and the outer ones.
Pretty simple, and you can, like I said, you can copy those from one to another.
Compare it to the other ones to make sure everything all lines up, all that kind of different stuff. So
somebody asked, Paul, those gear buttons are very small. Any chance we'll soon not have to zoom in that far to hit the gear? Which gear are they talking about?
The reason why I need to do that is this is A, I have fat fingers. And B, this is an older iPad which doesn't quite as much as touch sensitivity. And C, there's a lot of things going on with this computer right now, so I need to really make sure that I'm pushing the button correctly. So that's why I'm zooming in so much before I hit it.
There you go.
I forgot my iPad at home, guys. I'm sorry.
Using Terrence's ancient
iPad today.
Okay,
all right,
another question. Don Swanson asked a question. I like just putting you on your toes, man.
Please do.
With ATK, can I run a second PMUP pump and split flow between both pumps, only running one float switch and a pair of optical sensors?
An ATK can run a second PMUP, the split flow between the pumps.
So I think he wants to run two PMUPs with his ATK. The dilemma, obviously, there is there's only one power outlet on the FMM module.
Yeah, I mean, you could run both of them the same way. If you wanted to run them differently, you could do some creative programming where they essentially one will run once, one will run the other time. I don't necessarily see the benefit to that.
Maybe he wants to have a backup.
Maybe he wants to have a redundant backup in there that stays just in place and is ready to go. That might be an option. So.
Let's take a couple more questions. We've done that stuff because we're right at our 1 hour now. So let's see. Was there anything else in here you saw while I was out there interviewing Russ that was good? Way up here somewhere.
No, not so much.
3D
actually.
printing.
I think everyone was just kind of mesmerized by the tanks, which I love.
The RFM module.
I think it got called out pretty
Somebody
quickly.
says that's as excited as Russ gets.
That's
great.
not true. That's not true.
Russ gets excited.
Yeah.
Russ did great.
Yeah.
This is the best way to run the reefer top-offs. They're talking about your auto top-off for the auto top-off. Absolutely. All right. Well, I don't know if there's too much more going on there, but great show. I hope everybody out there appreciated doing that. We'll keep doing it. We'll come back.
Yes.
See if these guys kill anything. No, just kidding. Nothing ever dies.
we take good care of our fish here.
We do.
And
we didn't show them also where we have the water mixing station.
You didn't go. That's right. You guys didn't go out to the cool area.
Well, we didn't go out there because although it is cool, it also is a little proprietary how we do some of that stuff. So I don't know that I want to give away that secret sauce on what we do to make the calibration solutions because there's things there that competitors might want to know.
That's true.
So I don't know that we're going to ever make it out to that area. Maybe we'll take them out to the bottling line one day. And show them doing the bottling and labeling and whatnot in the back.
That could be cool. And the big batches of reagent.
Big 40 or 50 gallon barrels of reagent that come in. Well, that's about it for now, guys. Thank you for coming in, and another great show. Next week we have the Control Freak Wednesday. Looks like it will be our friend out there in Florida. Now, why did I forget his name? He's going to be pissed at me for forgetting his name.
You haven't talked to me about it, so I'm not sure.
Big tank, giant tank out in Florida, has everything on it, has everything under the sun. Dudley.
Oh, yeah.
Dudley.
Yeah.
And
that's a great tank.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of
Yeah, so he's going to take us through his tank next week, hopefully. He thought it was this week, but it'll be next week.
I like that he's excited for it, though.
He is. And so if any of you guys want to come on the Control Freak Wednesdays, please, send me a PM. You can even email me at terrence@neptunesystems.com. That's fine. Sometimes I miss some of those emails, so if you don't hear from me in a day or two, you're okay. Send me another one. And if you've got a great tank, send me a couple pictures. Tell me what's awesome with your Apex stuff, and we'll put you on the show. I'll send you out some swag or what have you, and we'll have another good Control Freak Wednesday. But that's next week, and then 2 weeks from today will be another Let's Talk Reef.
Are we doing one?
That's the 22nd.
Okay, that's going. Reefapalooza's the.
Reefapalooza's before that.
Okay, Reefapalooza.
Oh, thank you for reminding us. So, yes.
Oh, gosh.
In just under 2 weeks, we have Reefapalooza Chicago. So come out to that show, too. If you come to that show, say promo code LTR.
That's next weekend?
No, it's the weekend after next.
Weekend after next.
Weekend after next is Chicago.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. So we'll be there at that event and showing off a great tank. We've got a great new wave Aquarius coming down from up in Minnesota to come do the tank at the booth. They're excited about it.
Doug is bringing some epic LPS.
He is the LPS king of the that whole general area. So come to the booth, mention LTR to us, and maybe you'll get a good deal on some Apex gear. Same thing at Aquatic Experience in New Jersey. Maybe you'll get a chance to buy a Trident. Who knows?
Yeah. All right.
So thanks, guys. Till next time. Have a great fish. I won't say enjoy those fish.
Did somebody?
Nobody gave me anything much better than that.
Yeah.
But until next time, we'll see you then.
Enjoy those fish.